Maybe it chills down.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I would like to welcome everybody to 2170 Point Boulevard, our new public health facility. And this is a grand meeting here on the premises. So welcome, everybody. I'm Cheryl. I'm Cheryl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you can go. I need to. The online people won't be able to speak for a moment.
Okay.
I just need to make one more adjustment, which I can do. So
Okay.
go for it.
Okay, well, we'll start again. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to 2170 Point Boulevard, the public health facility in Elgin. Our remote meeting up here this morning. And I'm Cheryl Strathman, Chair of the Public Health Committee, and I would like to call the meeting to order. And before we start, I want to thank everybody who helped us do this remotely. For all the stuff and everything had to do with Eager this morning. Thank you for that. And Rachel for her first remote meeting. Thank you, Rachel. And I would appreciate if you come in.
Arroyo,
Hello here.
Juby, Genesis,
Genesis here.
Carver, Young, Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Stratton.
Up in here.
Carol is here.
And Ms.
Here.
Carol
Carol is
is
here.
here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for, we do have a quorum. Thank you, everybody, for being here, making the effort to be up here. It's very exciting. I would like to start by saying today is the anniversary of the first Wilbur and Orville Wright flight in 1903. How about that? So, we have no remote attendance requests, so we don't need to do that. So I'd like to ask for approval of the minutes for November 19th, 2025.
Sanchez asked for unanimous consent to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Any objections? Okay. I don't think we have any public comments. Okay. And we're gonna go fast here.
Oh, you
Yeah, Mike Lennon got you back for you.
Okay. We do have the reports on file. Any questions? Okay, so good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
I'd just like to say we're going to have Mr. Brett Youngstad to speak to us this morning with his wounded arm.
Yes, this past month has been a little hectic, so I apologize. I don't have much for this month, but after last meeting, I saw that everybody here likes statistics, so I want to start bringing some more statistical stuff to you guys. You can start seeing our trends, our numbers. So I am working on putting that all together now. So I will be having that moving into 26. And I'm very excited to have a board that's very interested in that too, to go down all that stuff. So I'm excited to put that forward. Other than that, my reports on file, and some questions, concerns, I'm all here. Please let me know.
I have a question. If I want.
Yes.
Hang on, check. I'm sorry. We're just getting organized on the side of the thing here. Whatever happened to that dog that I read about in the paper about 2 days ago that fell into the ice? It was a Siberian. It happened in St. Charles. And
The owner came forward, took the animal immediately, so I have not heard much other than we sent the warden out and they wound up getting sent back, so they got it.
all right.
So
Good.
that was the last. I
But the
heard.
dog is not home.
He found a home and went to a vet. I don't know enough,
Okay.
but that's all I knew.
Talking about the front road.
Yes.
Yeah. Last I heard, the owner didn't step up to his chip.
That's what I heard too.
All I know is we were waved off
Yeah.
when we got there. And yeah, I've been in and out of the office, so just being honest, that I have not had every update on everything.
Just when you find out, no big deal. But
I can pass one, sure.
It's a dog that got rescued.
Yeah.
Great dog.
Any other questions? Okay, well, we wish you a speedy recovery. Okay, and now, moving right along. All right, is Mr. Executive Director Michael Isaacson. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. I just have three things I'd like to touch on this morning. Number one, welcome to this building. We're so excited to be here. This is going to be such a great asset for the northern part of the county. We're in, if you look, and we'll do a more detailed presentation and tour after the meet. Well, we'll do a presentation during the meeting, but we'll do a tour after. We're in temporary space right now, where we've worked with the architect and provided what our projections are for space needs over the next 10 or 15 years to be able to build out and really create something that's going to be useful, not only for health department staff, but once we get court services in the corner. Of course, the clerk's office is having their ribbon cutting this morning. A big piece that we're excited about is really creating more conference rooms where community, not only we can host events as Kane County, and, any departments can do that, but also community organizations would be able to come in and utilize this space. So we've already talked about opportunities there. So really excited, thankful to building management and IT for all the support that they've given us as we work through that. And we're excited. You'll see there's work to be done on the east end of the building, but I think that's where it's going to be most beautiful when we're finished. So we're really excited to do that. So maybe we'll save questions until we get into the detailed presentation for that. The second thing for December, we just had our all staff meeting yesterday, and I think I want to take the opportunity to really commend the staff at the health department for the fantastic work they do, including all the directors who are here in the room with us, that are out there serving the public every day, making sure that food is safe, making sure water is safe, making sure that our septic fields out in Kane County are taken care of, helping to connect people with services, helping to connect people with housing. This is a really challenging time for our residents. We're seeing cuts in funding to a lot of programs. We're seeing changes in policy that are really making things challenging for people that we're serving. And we're seeing a lot of questioning of core things like vaccines that have been really proven bedrock foundational pieces of keeping people healthy that are being challenged. So we're getting different types of feedback from the public that can be really challenging for staff. And I just want to commend the hard work everybody does and the professionalism that they show every day. And then the third piece I wanted to mention is just kind of continuing on with how we're getting accurate information out to people. We have seen a lot of the good information on the CDC website, for example, has been removed. We're seeing a lot of changes in how recommendations are coming out. So we are working much more closely with the state now to make sure we're providing good information about what's happening, for example, with vaccines, to get information out to people. So we have a lot of expertise. I would say, if you're going to be sick, being in 2025 and being in the Chicagoland area, you're pretty fortunate because we have a lot of tremendous expertise and technology available to us. So in light of some of the challenges that we meet nationally with threats to good, sound scientific information, I think this is a case where it's really nice being in Illinois. We're working with the state health department to assure that people are getting good information. I'll use measles as an example. We have more measles cases this year. Nationwide, we're over 1,900 measles cases this year. That's more cases than we've had in the past 30 plus years. So we're not seeing big numbers of deaths yet, but this is a statistical thing. This is still a dangerous disease. And it's a disease, as I've talked about in these meetings before, that we eradicated in this country. There's absolutely no reason for it to be bad. We've had 85 cases in the US just in the past 2 weeks. So the numbers of these completely preventable diseases, that's something in addition to all the challenges we have with mental health and access to food and access to housing. We have things that really, there's a simple solution for that we're losing ground on. So I just want to say that, and again, this partially goes with commending my staff too, that this is a challenging time. We're fortunate to live in a place that has great information, great technology, great medicine, great vaccines, and we should be utilizing every single tool that we have available to keep people healthy. So with that, I'll cut my comments off and we can certainly dig in, but we're excited. I know Roger has a presentation and also we're excited to show people around the building. So I'll end there or answer any questions.
Anybody have a question for Michael before we move on? I do. Yes, Madam Chair.
Michael, thank you for that.
Be sure you speak loud enough so that owl can hear us here.
Hello, Owl. Michael, I do have a question. A couple of just questions, follow-up questions. The number that you gave with the measles, that is throughout, not Illinois?
The whole country.
Whole country,
Yes.
all right. So it's a large population, but
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent point, and I always try to take a sensible person's approach, so this is not fear mongering. This is saying, we went from 0 to now about 2,000, so is 2,000 a reason that everybody should go cower in the basement? No,
Absolutely not.
but we're going the wrong direction,
Oh,
and it's exponential, so.
I appreciate that. So my next follow-up question is, how are we getting the word out here in Kane County? Because I know if you go from Kane to DeKalb to Chicago, it travels as we travel. But how are we getting the word out to our residents that these shots are they available here?
Yeah, great question. So we have two different things that we really focus on. One, we have a great team at the health department where we're putting information out all the time through social media, through community events, where we're sharing what's available. We're always trying to share what the current information is. If people have questions, we always encourage people to talk with their doctors. But we try to be that source on our website.
So
for our
information
community.
source.
Yes. And then also we work, as you said, with the excellent point, diseases don't recognize county borders. So we work very closely with all the other health departments in the Chicagoland area. We have monthly meetings where not only do our communicable disease staff work together, but also our communications people work together so that we can really identify where are the opportunities for us all to be on the same page, pushing information.
And is it your desire, because I know with the flu shots, and we could get COVID shots as during that period of time, are we going to be preparing this facility for that kind of direct service as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll show you when we do the tour, but we want to build out additional clinical space. In our previous building in Elgin, we didn't have any clinical space. We had one conference room where we could do it like this. So I mean, maybe have a third the size, maybe, of this room, but where we could do some shots. And now we're going to have dedicated clinical space where we can really bring the public in, and we're looking at increasing dramatically, not only for Northern Kane County residents, what's available, but also just overall that we're providing more direct service to the community.
And once that happens, you'll be able to provide those services at the county building, in the auditorium as well,
Oh, sure.
as you do with the flu
Yeah,
shot.
yeah, absolutely.
Good. I was hoping to hear all of that. Thank you.
Are you recommending that adults get the measles vaccination? Not that this is a personal question at all.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. And we, typically you'll have immunity.
Yeah.
Not answering you personally, but people of a certain age have immunity.
Okay.
So as we look, you should be set, but we want to make sure that the younger people are, younger people being babies are making that they're up to date on their shots. And then I don't know if there's anything else you want to.
No, you're spot on.
It always makes it easier during outbreaks for us to say, how old are you? Okay, you should be. So.
Mr. Fennis, you had a question?
Yeah, question and comment. I remember a certain leader of our country, when COVID hit, we had 20 cases of COVID. They'll be gone, and then won't have to worry about it. Positive thing about this with the measles, on the measles side, is there's a vaccine out there. And we need to make sure that we promote that vaccine for our kids. That's the most important thing. I think right now we've got, I mean, I don't know what the winter holds for us as far as increasing measles throughout the country. I'm guessing that it's probably still going to be increasing. But we just need to make sure that we promote the measles vaccine as much as we can to make sure that we keep this nip it in the bud. Yeah.
Any other questions? Mr. Grant?
No, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm all about me. I got vaccinated when I was a kid, you know. I think part of the challenge the health department can address is we vaccinate for so many things. I think people are like, what do I vaccinate for? What do I not vaccinate for? If I get them all, am I endangering my children or something like that? I think that would be a good program because I know I've talked to my constituents about it. They're confused. They're like, don't know what's safe, don't know what's not safe. So maybe I do, maybe I don't. But I also look at cardiovascular disease, which I've always been a big proponent of. If we only spend $10,000 to get rid of the 85 deaths, and I'm not against vaccination, but for any of this stuff, but that's $117 per case. Whereas if we spent the same $10,000 for the 26,280 people that die of cardiovascular disease, and that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
In Illinois, it's 23 cents per case. So if I got $10,000 to spend, I'd probably want to spend it where I could have more impact, not that both are right. But I'd love to help us clarify the vaccination thing, because some people are backing away from anything there, which isn't a good idea. And then try and address cardiovascular, because it kills way more.
And I would like to say too, at this time again, if people have any questions, they should contact their own healthcare provider and trust the information they're getting from health.
And it's a really excellent points that you bring up, and as we look at what are effective interventions. We know for, especially something like measles, where once you're done with your shots, you're pretty much done for your life, right? I mean, there may be waning immunity and things, but for the most part, you're set. With COVID and say influenza, that's something where we're looking at every year, you need to get shots. So that's a little harder, right? Than just, here you get one or two. It's like, oh, every year we need to get you to come back. With things like cardiovascular disease, it's much more complex. And I think where we see the real efficacy is in policy change. And I think both at the federal level and here locally, what foods are we making available? What are we subsidizing? And largely our food system, we subsidize, sugary, nutrient, deficient foods. So there's a lot of conversation there. And I think, talking to people about, you should do jumping jacks every day, or you should eat more vegetables, that has very limited impact. And I think it's the policy changes that have the biggest impact. And so you're absolutely right that the numbers of people impacted, cardiovascular disease, preventable forms of cancer, those are where the numbers of residents are, but they're also much more complex interventions. But I 100% agree that we need to do more.
But everyone needs to eat more vegetables.
Everyone does, and we do jumping jacks, but yeah, they act, certainly. But we're people, so just being told to do it, and we don't respond very well to that.
But don't tell the meat industry that, because they'll be very upset.
Yeah, there's a lot of industry. Yes, yeah.
Okay, are we ready to move on?
So,
I'd like to welcome Mr. Roger Funstock.
Sure.
For his presentation. And I just want to thank you for all the work that you and your department have done to get this building ready. It's very exciting, and I can't wait for you to show us what they have this
Right.
one.
All right, so thank you again, Roger Fostock with IT and Buildings. I just wanted to begin with a couple housekeeping things. If you haven't been to this building, you're in suite 100. There were originally 6 suites. There's 100 through 600. You're going to see some of those today, but you're in suite 100. If you came in through the front entrance for the health department, it's in that direction. I believe that's the southwest corner of the building. So where you're at now is kind of in the middle of the building. There are restrooms at the end of the hallway down the back side. So if you need to use the restroom, you can go out and go down the hallway. There's a break room across from us on the front of the building. One thing I would warn you is that the building does have building control and security cards. So if you walk out the back door and you're not an employee with a card, you may not be able to get back in because that's the employee side. So if you have a reason to be here to get into the building, you can work with Michael and his team to get access. But that's how the building is secured. So the front door, people come in, there's a reception, we can get you into the building. If you walk out the back and you pull the door and if somebody's there, they can let you in, but otherwise you might have to go around and call somebody.
but there is a fourth reserve trail, so.
There's a trail, yeah, and that's where most of the property down the way. But that's kind of so you're in suite 100. The idea of this is that we're gonna start here, and then I have some pictures similar to these up on the wall down there, and kind of, I'll narrate and give you some idea of how this will look if we are to pursue the finished product at the other end. This portion of the building has had a lot of work done to it. You may not obviously see it because it looks remarkably similar to when we purchased the building about a year ago, but there's been a lot done to it. And we'll talk about that a little bit. Before I forget, I wanted to thank a couple people. Mark Smith has worked tirelessly for the last probably 6 months trying to work on this building to help us finish a punch list that is about eight pages long probably. And that was assembled by our staff and Mike and a bunch of people put that together, Charles, and Kevin. The other part of that is the team that cleans the building, Callie Acklin and her team, they cleaned up all of this. You'll see the other side. And when you see this, Callie and her cleaning team clean this up. We're turning it over to the cleaning crew now. And then Dale Newenkirchen, Matt Walker, and then they did all the heating and air conditioning and work on the building. Just a lot of work. It seems like it's been a long time, but when I get into some of this, you'll understand. There's some delays and delivery times, a lot of equipment that was put in, and that took some additional time, up to maybe like 5 or 6 months of time where we're waiting for some of this. But we'll get started. Blair, you're going to advance the slides. So this is what we're going to cover, just a real quick history, a little bit about our costs. We had estimates when we bought the building, and we're going to talk about what we estimated and what we've actually spent. And then we went into a phased approach about how to do this. And phase 0 is them occupying the building with the repairs that we've done. So that's kind of what you're seeing now is this phase 0. And we started there because of the timing of everything, to use the building to get out of the former lease, to be able to occupy the building and take advantage of it, stop paying some of those other expenses. We had to fix the building up, get some things done. It is not the finished product of the fully renovated or remodeled building. Phase 1 and 2 is that portion of it. We'll talk about that. Timeline, budget, and some renovation examples. Those are the exciting parts. So I'm not going to try to read slides to you, so I'll narrate. We'll go through it. If you have questions afterwards, just ask me. I'll try to fill you in. So go to the next slide. So this is the history part of the building. Blair, next slide. If we clicked on this, we have some aerial footage. I don't think we need to click on it, but basically we did drones that flew the building to look for everything from thermal image to roof damage. We ended up having the roof repaired, actually ripped off and replaced the whole roof last year. When we bought the building, there were a lot of water damage throughout the building from leaks. I think we counted 13 at one time, and the decision was not to try to find all of them and repair, just replace the roof. All of these rooftop units, there's 29 of them, we'll talk about it. We had lead time to order all new rooftop units, which that part was paid for through ARPA and federal funding. So we put on 29 new rooftop units. So air conditioning, heating, controls is all new in the building. And that's probably the longest lead time. That was months of
And those are
waiting.
new ones up there?
I believe they look like they are. They do look like they are, because one of the things we had to do, the building, you'll see these little spots on the, that's the gas lines to the units. And we actually installed risers and rubber and bases and a riser structure to lift the gas lines off the roof. And then we seal test them, make sure that they don't work properly. So it looks like that's on risers.
Roger, what's the longevity of all that equipment?
Usually you're in the 20 to 30 years, depending on our maintenance cycle. I would hope we would be in that 20-year time frame. Yeah. So go to the next slide. We're not going to do we have a drone video, but it takes a little bit of time. This was the original sales sheet, and you'll notice that the sale price was 3.5. They went to 2.995 for the building. Next slide. This is kind of the dimensions of it. 46,000 square feet. It was built in 2002. It's not that old. The company that built these properties was Pancor. They built Point Boulevard. All of these buildings, for the most part, were part of a Pancor development. Pancor is actually our neighbor. They're in a building almost like identical to this right next door. It's been great. They've helped us with getting drawings. They've helped us with information. So the people that built the building live next door, which is nice. Next slide. So early estimates and cost comparisons, right? This is some of the photos of what you'll see in the other side. This is the cavernous open space that would someday be a lobby and a conference and meeting center. That's kind of the vision. You can see some water damage. There's a lot of nice restrooms in the building. There's a lot of cabling and wiring in the building. This suite alone probably had $200,000 worth of cabling already in the building from when Honda Financial was here. So that was a huge benefit to this building. Go to the next slide. So this was our early estimates, and on the left side are some of the notes that I just mentioned. We bought the building for $2.8 million was the authorization. With everything that had to be done, I think we were at 2.87 was the final number. Renovation at the time, we were estimating doing what I would call a light renovation and remodel. In other words, you're gonna take the building largely as is and use it. We were thinking you'd spend about 2.5 million, 2.45 million. You're gonna see some numbers that are bigger than that because Michael has a bigger vision than just using it as is. So repair estimates, roof, all the air conditioning units, we were at 1.8 million. That is what we thought. But again, we're talking about largely as is. So on the far right, you're at 8.8 million was what we were telling you. This was a year ago when you purchased the building. All in after Mike gets his renovation and everything done, we think you'll be somewhere around 8 million. I know that's a big number. 2.8 for the building, another 2 million for renovations now, and then another 2.5 when Michael wants to finish more space the way it is. And that number actually is a little bit larger because of some of the things that Michael wants to do. Last note, all of that was health money. There was some capital for the roof that we did and then ARPA money. So I'll break down that in the next slide. Go ahead. So this is what we spent so far. 2.86 for the building. HVAC replacement, which was all ARPA, was 1.1, little under 1.2. That included the gas line work that we did. The new roof was 773. That was a capital purchase. We used capital money to replace the roof because of the water that we're taking on. Fiber and cabling came out of a special sales tax budget that we use for fiber. It's actually because of public health and public safety. We use that. It was 276 to get fiber into the building. So this building has a fiber lateral out to Ramble Road, goes all the way down to the branch court and into the county's network. So it's very well connected. You can run anything from here. It's just like you're sitting at the government center or the judicial center, no different. Last, just general repairs. We had a lot of concrete repair, a lot of walls, a lot of doors, just minor plumbing, electrical repairs, ceiling tiles. But we've gone through most of the building and done those so that you won't see water damage in this section of the building. This is 21,000 square feet to do repairs on and work on. So our total right now is 5.3 million. You spent 5.3 million. Yes, Mr.
And
Sir.
Roger, that's without any debt service at all.
No debt,
That-
none,
that's
zero. You own it, all of it. And again, ARPA money, we did the ARPA grants, the board graciously, gave us the ARPA money. We put the rooftop units on. All heating and air conditioning in this building is all new. And it's really for the sake of the bones and structure of the building, major mechanical. It's pretty much a new building that way. That side of the building, the east side, you're gonna see it's rough. The finish on it's rough and we need to do some work if we want to use it. It's somewhere around 20,000 square feet total on that side of the building. But we're at 5.3 and we were telling you that Michael's renovation was about 2.5. If we do it largely kind of as is and fix the things, few doors and walls and stuff like that. If you want to get into the clinical space and some of the other hard surface spaces that Michael's talking about, it probably will go beyond that. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So go to the
There
next
more
one.
ARPA money left?
So the ARPA money had to be contract obligated by December of last year. And so everything we could get into a proposal and into a contract, get into the board for approval was approved by the end of that. So it has to be an expansion of that existing project that was already under contract. One of the things that Charles, myself, we worked on was to contract for heating and air conditioning services, IT things at a larger amount than what the ARPA money that ARPA, Mr. Sanchez was involved with this. Yeah, a larger amount than what we were getting in ARPA, and the backstop or the cover was to use capital. So some of those projects where we knew we were going to be over the ARPA allocation, but we still wanted to do it, we filled the gap with capital. If ARPA money becomes available, we can remove the capital back to the general fund and fill it in with ARPA money that's reallocated or sub-allocated. So when you see some of those resolutions come through, I know sometimes you're like, why are you giving the money to, air conditioning? It's because we had these contracts that overcommit, and when you can reallocate, we can remove capital from it and put the ARPA in. And it was orchestrated that way. So the capital fund backstops essentially ARPA projects, and as long as we can keep our head above water and we have the capital to do that, it's smart because it obligates it.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so this is what we're at with the initial estimates versus actual, and you'll see we initially estimated 5.25. and we're at 5.3. So, we're a little bit over our initial estimate. I think when we got into the building, one of the big expenses was the gas lines. It was $46,000. And the guy told the heating and air conditioning company, which was trained, they were of the mindset, we could do it the way the gas lines are. We would highly recommend you put them on risers and seal test them all. So we took their advice because we don't need a gas leak and we don't need trouble. So that was 46,000 some dollars. I think that makes up a pretty good chunk of that money. But anyway, again, I think I've covered most of this. 29 rooftop units, though, they're all over the roof. So it's got a lot of distributed heating and air conditioning. Next slide. I'm sorry if I'm going fast. I'm trying to get.
Can we go back to that? Like,
Yeah, go
what's
ahead.
the difference in the estimate, the 1.8?
Yeah.
Combined versus 200?
Sure. So we were looking at it in the estimate just as a combined renovation number. And I separated it out to give you an idea of kind of what the categories were. When we had the initial estimate, we didn't have all that information yet. We were doing it on a condition assessment from a company that came in and just assessed the building. So when we started actually doing the work, we broke it out. This is HVAC.
Oh, got it. So HVAC's in there. New.
Yeah. The roof, I want you to see like what the investment actually pertained to, not just the raw numbers. And you know, we've had some operating expense. There's no doubt that's not included. Operating expense would be, hey, we sent some staff up here to clean something, sent somebody up here to look at a heating and air conditioning cost. Michael and I are working on that now, how the operating budget for this will work. You have a big building, it's 46,000 square feet. You have to heat it, you have to have cooling, water, wastewater, janitorial, landscape, snow removal, all that stuff is operating expense. So that's a separate bucket of money besides capital improvement and remodeling. So go to the next slide. We did a phased approach. We had a concept plan done. We got about 2/3 into the concept plan and we started talking to them about what it would cost if you renovated 46,000 square feet of space. And I'm going to tell you, renovating this full building at 46,000 square feet, the architect, and I've talked to two of them about this building, both of them said that the finish that you're looking for in medical office is around $400 a square foot. That's demo and refinish the building, 46,000 square feet. It doesn't take long to get to $15 million. So we were talking about it, and that's a great long range plan. It looks great on paper, how you're going to use the building. How do you go through this in phases and kind of work your way into using the building as best you can, because you're not going to get the money up front. You're going to get it over time as programs expand, as things increase, as the use of the building increases. You'll see that evolve. So the $400 square foot estimate is kind of office professional building. What we were talking about before was $200 remodel renovate budget, not tear out the walls and start over and rebuild it. Okay, so think of those two kind of dynamics. Again, these are some of the things that we did leading up to phase 0 and the costs. Phase 0, again, largely use the building as is, fix it, make sure everything is working properly, leave the shell space for the actual phase 1 build out and phase 2 build out, which that is really the clinical space, more back office space. You're gonna have the lobby, the conference and meeting center. There's some interconnects with the clerk's office to some of that space for early voting. But those are concepts that we're gonna be working on with the architect. Phase 1 is to fully renovate 12,500 square feet next door. And we're gonna show you where that is. There's some kind of renderings of what that might look like. Phase 2 is also light renovation. It's 8,000 square feet for court services in Elgin. Court services wants to be in this building. We think that's a relatively easy kind of remodeling cost. It's not a heavy lift to get them in here. And that actually, phase 2 for them requires that we finish a part of the building for the health department over there, because court services would eventually go in that corner where your main entrance is now. They would be on that far corner on that side of the building, and the health department's main entrance will be kind of at the apex of the building, and it'll be a more grand entrance into the lobby. And I can kind of narrate that when you see it. But in order to get to that point, we have to get the architectural plans done and get it planned and bid for redoing that side of the building. And then Core Services could move in and take this over. The plan would be to do this in the next 9 to 12 months.
Good.
So, yes,
What would court services be, like circuit clerk's office or?
it's probation. Yep. Now, a lot of it's, office work. There are some times when people come in, but a lot of it's office work. We want to try to keep their parking and keep their access on that end. We've even talked about potentially putting like a parking median in, so they're even a separate parking lot. And it's like, you were gonna try to get them in there, keep everybody health and clerk down on this end of the building.
The sheriff's office be located in the building?
There is a office space for a satellite for the sheriff. They only want a place to drop in, use the restroom, wash their hands, write a report. So it's like for one person, and we're looking at off these back employee doors to get them into a hallway corridor where there's restrooms. It's actually down here, I'm sorry. There's a hallway corridor down here, and there's a couple of spaces there. We're looking at getting them into one of those, and there'll be like doors on each end of the hallway. They would come into that space, and then they would leave same doors. But for the sake of the building at large, we need to kind of secure it at night. We can't have people wandering through the building and leaving doors unlocked. So next slide. So this is what phase 0 involved. This is everything that Mark Smith and building management, Charles and IT, that they worked on, lots of stuff. And this actually has sub items and breaks out across like 8 pages. But it gives you an idea of like what we've been trying to work on over the last 8 months after purchasing the building. So I know a lot of people are like, why aren't we using the building? Why haven't we moved in? I will tell you the lead time on the roof and air conditioners was probably the biggest problem. And then how much do you do if you're gonna really renovate the whole space versus do the phase 0 and move in? I think 3 months ago, we decided we're doing phase 0, Mike's moving in. We're gonna get out of their current lease, which is about $40,000. Yeah, and then Core Services has a similar lease in Elgin for about 70. So we're working with them to try to figure out, get them in this space and stop paying a lease on that side. So that's.
Is that phase 0 or that's phase 1?
Court Services is actually involved with the phase 1 and 2, and
Okay.
they're tied together. If you want to get the health department in that space so that we can free this end up for Court Services, this space is really big. You could get Court Services in here. The problem is the shared space. You'd have probation and health in the same, and that's probably not going to happen. So, anyway, I just wanted to get an idea of what we've been working on. Lots of patching. I will tell you, we brought it forward for a capital to resurface the parking lot. If you look at the parking lot, it's rough. That's probably high on our list of capital needs for this building. We did some quick patching. We sealed it and put striping on it, but that's the lipstick, right? It's not been repaired. So we need to work on that. And we're hoping we can get back to that this year. Next slide.
Can I just say, Roger, I
Yeah.
also want to commend the health department staff and
Yeah.
and in addition to, I mean, we've been working very closely on trying to figure out the maximize the space as quickly as we can. I just want to thank the staff who
Yeah.
then we said, now we're adding phase 0. Because now we've got people moved into temporary space, which nobody likes to move. That's
Yeah.
stressful. And then it's not the finished product yet. So I think
Yeah.
as you walk around, people have done an excellent job being adaptable and saying, okay, here you are, and yes, you're going to move again in a few months. So,
Yeah.
great. So we're excited for the final product to come, but it's, I really appreciate everybody's flexibility because it's not a small thing.
So right now, this is how the building is divided up. You're in Suite 100, which is the big red box. Actually down there where the gray box is, that little hallway, that's actually the one we're identifying the space for the sheriff. So those that were asking about it. The 2 rectangles to the right of that gray box are the men's and women's restrooms. And then you get into the shell space that says Health Department, 27,000 square feet shell space. And then the county clerk is in this corner with a separate door, separate access. They actually have a front and back door. And there's space in there that was designated. The clerk and coroner work together. They have a common labeled door, and the coroner has an office in there. That was kind of an addition to Jack. Jack and the coroner worked that out. So we created that space, but you'll see the apex of the building. there's a place to do this here for the health department, more of a grand entrance. You could actually do it here too, on the side. It might come down to economics. Doing the entrance on the side probably will look just as good, and it'll probably cost a lot less than building out the corner. Corner is designed to be a corner, not designed to be a wall. But that's where we're at right now. The clerk is in about 2,500 square feet. Again, this space is about 21,000 square feet, so it's pretty large. Next slide. That's the as is. So this is what we need to do in phase 1 and phase 2. So we're looking for a main entrance, a lobby area, reception areas, conference and meeting center, the clinical side, the office space side, that include kind of the reception. We need some storage space. That's something that, in the original concept, Mike and I were talking about it. We probably need 3,000 to 5,000 square feet of this building just for flat storage of stuff for the health department. You'll see some stuff out here lined up, and they brought it in here because we have double doors and access, but that needs to find a home. And we'd like to get like a few thousand square feet of just storeroom, nothing fancy, less expensive to build. County offices, you have court services office, sheriff's office, clerk's office. They added coroner in the clerk's office. And then we have some work to do on break rooms and restrooms. You'll find some break rooms throughout the building that are there. The cabinets are gone, the appliances are gone. They took out the sink in the rough part of the building. All this has been fixed. Jack's area has been fixed. But those are things that we'll either demo, remodel, or rebuild. So all of those things will come about during phase 1 and 2. When I say phase 1 and 2, the reason why I'm combining them is because once you do phase 1 with the health department, really phase 2 is going to happen anyway, because court services is going to move in. That part, doing court services, is easy. That's an easy fix. It's a wall and a couple restrooms. So go to the next slide. Next slide. Okay, so this is the aerial view. You can see the kind of the existing structure of what the buildings look like. I'll send this out to everyone so everybody can have a copy and we'll get it posted. If you go to the next slide. So these are the original concept plans that Michael's team worked on with, it was White and Company, the architect. And it divvies up the space. And what I would tell you is that when you look at this space and you see all these walls, those are the black lines and squares. Those are actual offices. So when they did the concept plan and you get the density of building walls and offices, that's where you get that $400 a square foot and the price goes to $15 million. So we were telling them, well, to get the lobby, the conference and meeting center, to get the clinical and front office, you're really talking about here. And then this is a matter of when do you want to develop this into private offices? And I will tell you that our logic was basically use the best part of the building for what it is. And that's this. This is the best part of the building and the part where Jack is. Use it for what it is. Put your money and renovate the part that's not working for you, the part that is ugly, the part that needs it the most, and can give you the lobby, the conference room, the front end. This space here, if anybody walked in here and said, gee, we should demolish this and start over, it doesn't make sense. So we went with, let's move in as is. Next slide. But the concept of it is good. It's like long-term, we need to maybe get to that. It might take us some years to get to that. Michael's got some programming and people and budget and things that he has to do. So phase 1, again, that far upper right corner. Phase 2, we were talking about this clinical space. This was when we started trying to break it apart, and we went through a couple sessions like how do you break it apart, and then phase 3 was like this larger space that you see out here, and we were kind of kicking around how do you divide it up because it was just too big of a apple to eat in one sitting. So that was where we were getting to the next slide, Blair, was how do you divvy this up? This was kind of a gross square footage model. The health department taking the middle of the building in the corner and that front clinic, the clerk's office on the end and court services on this end. There's still the gray box for the sheriff. This is kind of the architect's first rendering of just how do you divvy up the space. Next slide. So again, we started with the move in as is and said, okay, I get how you want to divvy up the space. For now, to get people securely into the building, I don't have the corner entrance I don't have any of that finished, so we have to use the existing entrances, so we started using this one. And assume that's gonna be the entrance until we do the renovation. Next slide. Phase one, we decided we want that corner with the lobby and the meeting room and the back office. And we're gonna do basically an alternate bid for the clinic. So you'll get the larger admin office behind that area. You'll get a bid or a price for the clinic, and we think you're in this space on that end, you're in that $5 million range. That is, and Michael and I've been working on the budget. Where would that come from? There's health, money from the health fund. So I don't know that you'll be talking about general fund money or capital. The health fund could actually pay for the renovation. We're trying to get it to where it's a manageable number. 5 million is maybe a rough estimate. Hopefully we can figure out ways to do that for less. We're trying.
I do hope everybody put money in for parking outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got the app. Yeah, I got the app on their phone, so I can't do it.
Yeah. So again, we have a base bid for that corner, and it included those items, the lobby, the conference room, front office, reception. And then the clinic part would be an alternate. We'd get a price for it, but we wouldn't build it unless Michael had the money to do it. Next slide. So after you get that back office done, you get into this phase two, which is, okay, now the health department can move over there. We need to put a wall in and get the restrooms in for court services to move in. Move the signs, move the entrances.
What's that cost for court services?
So to put the wall in and put 3 restrooms in, we've had initial estimates of $200,000 to $300,000 just to get a wall across and put the restrooms in. We have the sanitary line and the water line, everything's identified from the plans. So it's really building a wall, dealing with the overhead electric and sprinkler system, ventilation. And then we have to put the restrooms in. So it's manageable.
But if we're spending right now $70,000
Yeah.
annually on rent in 2 years,
So-
3 years.
Yeah.
4 years for sure.
And there should be a better space too.
It would be,
Yeah.
it would just
So-
transfer that money over. to
The
get
the capital to do that wall and restrooms is in your capital budget for 26. It's in, we put it in.
I think if you're, to me, that's a higher price. It's not phase 2 or 3.
Well,
That's.
we just need to be able to move out of it.
We have to get them out of that space to.
They would be paying that, right?
It's capital, they're capital.
So health department doesn't pay for, if we look at, I know a lot of times.
Yeah, it's not a special revenue.
Michael, nice, but not that.
It's, as long as I'm on the, but as you mentioned about snow removal.
Yes.
So that implies we own the parking.
Yes, oh yes.
Okay.
We own almost 5 acres of land.
Any plans to put solar on this roof?
We did have the roof installed with, it's like a reflective white rock so that it's certainly substantial enough that you could look at doing it. I think, Jody did
I think Jody.
some initial looking. It was whether or not, you could get around the heating and air conditioning systems to make it a good system that's beneficial, profitable, or at least provides us with power.
The roof penetrations can,
Yeah, it is a membrane roof that we put on, and it's a heavy duty roof, so. We'll go to the next slide. So this is kind of the end result of divvying up the spaces. You'll see the court services in blue, sheriff's in that little yellow space in the middle. Health is in the red outline and the clerk is in the green. Those are the spaces that we need an architect to develop the final plan for construction. And once you get the final plan, the county board would approve of a budget and the construction contracts associated with building this out. So you have really to get the architect planning to draw the actual bid set. And then you have to, once you get the bids back, you would approve of the agreement for construction and the budget for construction. So those steps are yet to be determined. Michael and I were talking about, we could bring kind of a modified presentation about the architect agreement to do the final bid plan set, which would establish the budget and the cost of doing the bidding. And then from there, we'd go out and do that work with the understanding of how much the whole project would cost. But that would be in January.
And how long will it take to do the build out? If the board.
You're
approves it?
probably in that 9 to 12 months, total time, from the time we, do the bid to the time they finish construction. Fast is 9 months, slow is 12. Depends if there's material issues, if there's permitting issues. I think 9 months would be aggressive.
And, okay, and how much space do you need for your current staffs? Because I'm looking back on that relation.
Yeah. Well, right now, we're out in this 21,000 square foot area over here.
I know you
So,
looked
yeah.
at empty.
Yeah, so, and I think that's a good point, is what we're looking to, and we actually, I think I joked with a couple board members this morning. People say this is a lot of empty desks, right? That we're not
Yeah.
looking to hire 100 people right away.
That was my first comment when I walked in. I was, hey,
Yeah.
And I do, this is wonderful furniture, but we're not looking to fill all those desks. As you look at these plans, a big part of what the health department does is really in partnership with other organizations. So building out those meeting spaces and building out places where the community can come here for education sessions and trainings and conferences. That's what we're really looking to do. So it's not how many desks are we filling, but it's building out.
So it's that long center, the one up on top.
And even, this building is huge, right? So we're in the box. Can you point to the box we're in there, Roger? So we're there. So if you came into that door in the lower left-hand corner and you walked to here, that's a pretty long walk. You're not even halfway down this building, right? So over on the right-hand side in the east, that 27,000 square foot, which is bigger than all this that you can see, that's where we're looking to do most of our building. And that doesn't even include the clinical space down there.
So that could be the first phase of phase.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
It is.
And we have some space in there. I mean,
Yeah.
we have, my approach to this is for the funds that we have, I'd rather use those for capital expenses rather than operating expenses, because we can't rely on using health department reserves on into the future. So we'd rather invest it here, so we have something that we can really go with. We've got financial realities going on, right now is a tumultuous time, but when we're doing our planning, we're looking at 10, 20 years, what are we gonna see? And so we see a lot of opportunity for growing services and growing programs in here. So it's not gonna be full day one, but we're gonna be able to use it to great effect.
Mr. Sturgis had a question.
Just two questions, kind of divergent though. To back up 20 seconds,
Sure.
snow removal, is there a property owners association here or are we just a freestanding?
We're pretty much the owner. There is an association for the berm and the sign out there, and I think that might cover this route and the circle drive down there, but the lot and our property is ours. So,
And Michael, question for you, how is your staff, I know this is kind of a radically paradigm shift in terms of locations. How is your staff handling oh, by the way, it's at the north end now.
Yeah.
Does everybody have good attitudes or is it
Oh, no.
combination or when?
No, it's excellent, and we still have a presence in Aurora. So, as we pitched the idea of having a central site in Elgin, or in Geneva rather, but then we were gonna have two smaller places anyway. Now, rather than that, we're gonna have two main offices. So we can actually serve the population centers in the community, and especially where we provide.
So well received, you haven't lost anybody because of the location?
Oh, no, it's actually closer.
the office,
Right,
the
yeah.
office they had in Elgin was closed and was moved here. That's these people basically.
Madam, Ms. Bates, you had a question?
Thank you. So we can discuss this now or later, but what are the plans for Aurora?
Well, yeah, I'd like to get a different building in Aurora.
South of the
Yeah,
border.
yes, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we'd like to get a different space, and just like here, I'm always in the uncomfortable conversations of pushing to say, okay, we're not in the general fund. We're, don't cut us, but
Yeah.
then we have other sources of revenue, so sometimes we're able to do things that I think are beneficial to the county as a whole. I think there's opportunity in
Yeah.
Aurora too. Court Services has a building in the old health department down on the corner of Highland and
Oh,
Sullivan
yeah,
there,
yeah.
so.
So
The clerk's office has a small office in Aurora, so I think over the next, I was hoping to put one to bed before we moved on to the next one, but we definitely like a different space.
Don't you want to do multiple children at the same time?
Yes, yes.
If you would like to see it as a committee, we could provide it. We had, I'm pretty sure we had a condition assessment done for 1240, and it had like the recommendations for what needs to be done, and it's pretty steep. It's quite a bit of work that needs to be done to that building.
Video where you dropped a grenade in it.
I was gonna say, bulldoze.
Caterpillar just drive right through that. Right now, probably the biggest problem with it is the eaves and overhangs, and the stucco on the outside is, we probably could put $400,000 to $500,000 into the outside of the building right now.
What's the square footage?
It's just over 20.
It's about 25.
Yeah.
A good portion of the building is below grade. It's built a little bit different than you would want it to be. So they have a lower level that's entirely below grade, and you're using that as well as the two upper floors. When you think of it as a professional building, think of the middle is like one hallway that's like 8 feet wide or whatever. So the hallway takes up the whole middle of the building with a elevator shaft. too.
Yeah.
So you get the outer part of the building. If you were designing a single floor slab type of building, all, like this building doesn't have elevators, doesn't have staircases. All of that is not something you're maintaining. All the space is fairly usable. You won't find much where it says mechanical space, you can't use it. It's pretty much all the way wall to wall space, and it's steel construction. Everything is supported by steel beams in the building, so everything you see can actually be removed, pretty much, except for the steel structure. So anything you see that's a wall, or you think you do it differently, that's all been part of a renovation where somebody's purposely put the wall there, they can take it out of account, just the same. So that's a good feature.
Can I add just on to Mr. Sturgis' question about staff moving here? I really want to thank Charles and Roger. Being on the fiber is no small thing, because we were just on public.
Comcast?
Yeah, I didn't know if I'd say a company or not, but it was challenging for us because we didn't know. So for the
Yeah.
types of things we do and the volume we do, we had issues all the time. So moving
Yeah.
here and being hooked up to county fiber, it's just by itself is a huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give a round.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that part, okay.
Charles, strong Wi-Fi here? Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be.
So I would like to move along so we.
Yeah, let's go to the next slide real quick, Blair. We'll go through these quicker. This is the project timeline. If we got approval of the concept plan and budget, you're in February, by the time the board gets it, right? So you approve, you do all the documentation and bids February through May. We could do that a little bit faster. I will tell you that that process works faster under a dictatorship than it does through democracy. So if you do it by a democratic process and everybody weighs in, you'll be in May before you get the bid docs done. If we can agree faster, we get done quicker. Trade contractor bidding, so we would take this out to public bid. You get that back in July. You'd be back in July for board approval, construction in August, and you'd finish in November. And that's kind of the long time frame. We think you can get, maybe 3 months off of that if other things are agreeable and go faster. So,
There's
project,
also something to be said for being in the building as you learn
Yeah.
the rhythm of the
Yeah.
building and everything.
we learn something new every time we're here. $5 million, and we had 250,000 for court services, so that's based on the 400 square feet. $400 a square foot.
Well, I think a lot of it will be meeting
Where?
space. So yeah, what we have laid out, we have more.
Next.
Would there be room for potentially another part of King County's offices up here?
Potentially.
So we're gonna show you just some renovations. These were done, everybody talks about AI. I took the liberty of taking the shelf spaces, I used AI, generated some renderings from instead of asking an architect to do it, I did it myself. Anyway, go ahead. So, and you may criticize the architect, it was me. But this is a rendering of a space to show you what it could look like. And I took this is the door down in the corner, and just said, hey, put a simple monument overhang, double door entry, and it is remarkably similar to the one at Pancor next door. Okay, go to the next one. So if you wanted a main entry lobby, and I'll give you some narrative down there when you're in the shelf space, so you can see where this would fit. You'd have a big lobby with kind of medical, clinical reception to the right, department reception to the left, at the end, some nice doors to go into a conference and meeting center. Okay, this is what the shelf, go back. This is what the shelf space looks like now when you go down there. It's brown carpet, looks really nice, old beat up school district look. Next one. Existing office area, just kind of furniture slide. Next one. Conference and meeting space. We're looking at this big, large space. There's actually a cubicle floor, whips in the floor, but just something that looks like a nice standard conference room. We're not looking to create something crazy, just space for 200 people to meet. That would be ideal.
And I think the cost savings for not only the health department, but other county departments and community partners to have a space that we can utilize. This is gonna be huge.
So rendering a space for, say 200 people. Next slide. Office space. You notice all the windows outside. We've talked to the architects a couple times about building walls and boxes. We're like, use the outside windows. We want like glass wall interior so the light can still get through. And just frame out, like right down the wall. We don't need to get anything where we're building a lot of structure that just blocks out all the windows. So we rendered that as well. Next one. Like, I think you're gonna have some rooms that are like, this was interesting. It rendered and it actually put health department in corner.
How did you get it to spell it correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was fascinated.
Sketchy.
I will tell you another part that I was doing when it rendered this, it left that wall blank. And then when I tried to tell it to put a painting on the wall, it told me, well, upload the painting. I said, no, I can go create a farm landscape painting and then put it on the wall. And that is original artwork from AI. Okay.
It's Roger's signature on the bottom.
Oh, no, it was fun. Anyway, we should do that. We could do like AI bloopers for a meeting. Anyway, go to next one. I think that's the end of it, but so if you want to take and see things, this Suite 100 is relatively open. There's a break room across the way with some nice places to sit. Through the break room, there's a door. I'm going to go out that door, and then you're going to go to your left, and there's another door where you can enter the shelf space, and we can show you that. And then if you go out again, Jack's office and the clerk is on the far corner. They're open. They opened at 8:30. They've been in there, I think, this entire week. There's a couple people working in there, and that's where they're going to have the ribbon cutting for the clerk's office. I know he's invited people for 11 o'clock, so I don't want to run too long. You got about 30 minutes. And I will be over there by the doors, though, if you want to come in to see the shelf space, to see what we're talking about. And I can describe how some of these photos work, like the direction you need to look at to see how that would work. Okay, that's all I have for you.
So I know there are other questions, but I would like to ask you to answer other as we go on the tour.
Sure.
Because we do have some business for the committee this morning. So I'd like to get back to business and then please welcome everybody on the tour with Roger, but I'll answer any questions. So we do have a resolution this morning, so I'd like a motion in a second to discuss and possibly pass. The resolution is authorizing agreement with the Illinois Department of Human Services for the Illinois Rapid Rehousing Program in state fiscal year 2026. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So this is a reallocation of funds that had gone to a community partner who wasn't able to utilize it. So in working with the state, our team was able to get it reallocated to the county. So it's $100,000 that's going to help with our rehousing project. And this is one of the programs that moved over from the Office of Community Reinvestment that's newer to the health department, but it's just been tremendous. It's such a great resource.
Building in St. Charles?
No, this is separate. This is actually helping people with housing out.
Got it. Okay, yeah, I know.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Sanchez will move, and Royal second, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, please call roll.
Arroyo,
Yes.
Hennessy,
Hennessy, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Stratford.
Strathman, yes. Okay, any
Yeah,
old
I know.
business? Any old business this morning? Okay, then I'd like to ask for unanimous consent with the report on file.
Sanchez asked for unanimous consent.
Okay, I'm ready.
No objections.
Can I?
I spoke to you about that previously, Cheryl, just publicly. We know that there's going to be, and there already are pretty draconian cuts in housing allocation, as well as what's happening currently with supports for the American for healthcare. We know that's happening at December 31st. They walked away. So there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be compromised with being able to afford healthcare. All of that is macro, but looking at micro, taking care of King County. Those are issues that I would like to have some knowledge about and what that impact is going to be here. When you have to have housing support and you have to volunteer work or go to school for 20 hours a week, but those individuals who are unable to do so for whatever particular reason that may be, and I'm not going to make any judgments on that, whether they should, or if they can't. But what is that impact here, and how, with the available resources we have, can support that? I mean, is it 5 families? Are we looking at 200 families? Because 200 families that have some kind of housing, it's going to be pretty significant for us to help out with. But we can't have them on the streets or live in a car, which is currently happening anyway, that we may not see, but it is existing, and we have to make sure that these individuals are housed and fed. I mean, that's like bottom line, and healthcare. That's why I was so excited about your clinic. So if you can,
Sure.
I know it's a big charge.
No, yeah, no,
but-
I'm right there.
But the impact is going to start happening in January, and we know that to be truthful.
Yes.
And animals.
Okay. And I don't think there's any need for executive session. No, okay. And now, any new business? Okay, so then we're ready for chair's comments, and I would just like to say that today, besides being the anniversary of the Wright brothers, today is Say It Now Day. December 17th is a day to express gratitude and appreciation for loved ones by telling them how much they mean to you. So I just want to express my gratitude to all who made this building happen. To Executive Director Michael Isaacson for his leadership and his vision to be ready for when this opportunity presented itself. For the administration committee under Chair Chris Caius and the building manager, Executive Director Roger Fonsack. This building is the future of King County Public Health in the north end of the county. And as we finish and move more fully toward this facility, we look forward to providing more county services to the north end of King County. And it's a very exciting time. And I thank everybody for being here this morning. Yes,
Ken Sheffield, Historic Preservation Officer. We have time for a semi-quincentennial minute.
okay.
You already covered the Wright brothers, but this is 1775.
A little bit earlier.
On this day, 250 years ago today, Henry Knox, the former bookseller of Boston turned artillery general, had completed the first steps of his journey from Fort Ticonderoga in northern New York to the southern edge of Lake George. You know, Lake George is this long finger, goes for many miles, is frozen over, and he's dragging his 84 pieces of heavy artillery by sledges and oxen across the lake. The scow carrying the majority of the artillery on the state got stuck on an underwater rock. Several days later, it foundered and sank, needing to be refloated. This is all in the dead of winter blizzards. By December 17th, the scow and all of Knox's other boats had finally arrived at the southern end of Lake George. He wrote a letter on this date to his wife Lucy, another to General Washington, and this letter to General Philip Schuyler. We have been so fortunate as to get the mortars, cannon, and others safely over the lake to this place. He had made arrangements for the next stage of the journey too. I have agreed with Captain Palmer to get proper conveyances for the artillery from hence to Springfield, New York. They still had many miles to go to reach Boston. And that is your 250 years ago today. And I believe it was also the 250th birthday of Jane Austen.
Oh, yes, I read that too. So thank you for those. What do you call it, Susquehanna Centennial? Oh, there you go,
They're talking about you, yeah.
Okay, so now I'd like a motion and a second to adjourn.
And says we'll move to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much for coming. Now let's.